This is exactly what Vikings fans want to hear as Kevin O'Connell drops a big injury update for key players, as well as a look into the Vikings master plan for not only JJ McCarthy's return, but also for the bye week ahead as this team looks to rest up and get healthy enough for week 7. We're going to break down all that in this episode of Vikings Digest, but first, if you're not a part of the 86% of viewers who are already subscribed to the channel and you want to stay up to date on all things Vikings, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss any of the episodes when they drop. And with that, let's hop into the first topic of the day, which is injuries and bye plans. So Kevin O'Connell gave a press conference yesterday where he brought up some injury updates, a little bit of some bye week plans, and as well as talked about the offensive line, giving them props for the game that they just played, and as well as just a simple breakdown even further of the game this past weekend against Cleveland Browns in London, more than he was giving in his post-game press conference on Sunday. But getting into the injury update side of things, Kevin O'Connell was saying that we do expect 4 players to return to practice in capacity this week, but JJ McCarthy, Donovan Jackson, Blake Cashman will have his 21-day window open, and Michael Juergens. So this is going to be huge for Vikings fans as coming out of the bye week, we are going to be seeing JJ McCarthy, Donovan Jackson, and Blake Cashman and Michael Juergens all returning to practice in some way, shape, or form. And this is going to be absolutely huge for the Vikings because obviously JJ McCarthy coming back is a big thing, of course. But then you have also Donovan Jackson, their first round pick that they have invested very heavily in, have a lot of confidence in, and he has been living up to the first round hype ever since he got to Minnesota. He has been dealing with that wrist injury that he did get surgery on, so he's been resting up from that. Michael Juergens also looking to be back. He was more of a good backup, and sometimes people looking at him as a liability. But with Ryan Kelly being out at center, we need Michael Juergens and Blake Brandel to really be able to step up to that plate and fill in while Ryan Kelly kind of figures out what's going to be happening, not only with his current concussion, but also the grand scheme of his career because of the amount of concussions that he's had. And of course, Blake Cashman having his window opened is huge because this Vikings defense, this linebacker core needs him back. We've been without Andrew Van Ginkel. We've been without Blake Cashman. So once we have those guys back, this linebacker unit is going to look so much different. The pass rush and pass coverage is going to look completely different than what it's looked like. We might not get torched over the middle nearly as much, just like David Njoku did to us on Sunday. There will be a lot more opportunities for the Vikings to kind of have a much stronger defense and kind of look like how they looked against the Cincinnati Bengals, but on a week in and week out basis rather than just having one flash in the pan week every 3 games, and where this defense is having to play catch up a lot or just keeping us in really close games. But the defense has still been playing really solid, so got to give them props there with those next man up stepping up. Levi Drake Rodriguez, want to give him his props. He's been playing really well, filling in at that linebacker position, so great to see these guys that are in the second string normally really stepping up to the plate and being ready to be a starter when their number is called. But of course, everyone is going to harp on the JJ McCarthy side of things, which is where KOC kind of got into his plan for JJ McCarthy, saying that we'll be able to get him some extensive work as a lead into next week. And then I anticipate his workload building up. JJ got some work today and we'll get some work throughout the rest of the week, but I'm encouraged with where he is at right now. So JJ McCarthy, no clear sign that he's going to be ready for week 7, but at least this opens the door for that possibility with Kevin O'Connell saying that he's going to work up, he's going to ramp it up, work throughout the week. He's feeling really good. So who knows, maybe we see him ready for week 7. I personally can see it happening week 8 that he's fully ready to go and 100%, just so that Minnesota can give him that extra kind of week of confidence. And with the way that Carson Wentz has been playing, the Vikings can afford to give one more game coming out of the bye week if JJ McCarthy needs it, and to give Carson Wentz another opportunity to keep it rolling and keep things moving. But the bye week is going to be very critical for the Minnesota Vikings because Kevin O'Connell was saying that we're going to really take advantage of that bonus Monday, not only with him, JJ McCarthy, but with our whole team. We're going to spend some time as a coaching staff making sure that we're self-scouting and taking a look at what we've been, how much we are, what we are is tied to this adversity we've dealt with injuries, and what do we want our identity as a team to be here as we attack the post-bye part of the season. And that is a big thing for Minnesota, is that we haven't been really able to establish an identity for our team this entire season because we've been dealing with injuries. There's been a lot of things hampering us down where Minnesota has had to really play catch up in a lot of games, or at least as far as game prep, where you're having guys that are either questionable throughout the week and can't play on game day, or you're already planning for them to be out and you're already behind the 8 ball, having to play catch up in that sense with going against a team that's going to have all their starters in, regardless if the Browns had a rookie quarterback or not. They still had their beast of a defensive end at Myles Garrett rushing off that edge, which was giving me nightmares as how much he was tearing us up. It was really brutal to watch. But you also have a really good Cleveland secondary that they had to attack, and they had to account for that. And same thing on the offensive side of the ball. Quinshon Judkins, that kid is an absolute stud of a rookie that just absolutely diced up Minnesota. And Jonathan Grenard specifically talked about how you can't allow things like that to happen throughout the course of the season. But as this team gets healthier, we're going to start to see what this team is really made of, what the identity of this team is, and what it's going to take for this team to really get over that mountaintop. Because I've been saying to a lot of people, the NFL is wide open this year. I don't think the NFL has felt this wide open in probably half a decade at least, because the Kansas City Chiefs, they suck right now. Baltimore, they suck right now. Buffalo, they just lost to a division rival, but they're probably looking like the best team in the NFL right now. But again, they haven't played many significant teams. So really, what has their test been? Baltimore, you could say, is their biggest test, but they kind of crap the bed there. So then you look at the Eagles side of things. They're not looking like the Super Bowl team that they were a year ago with all the drama they got going on there, the offensive inconsistencies there. Green Bay, they got their defense playing on a week off basis almost, where they allowed Dallas to kind of just march all over them. So that's really interesting to see there, where Green Bay is going to have to fight for consistency all season. Then you got the Detroit Lions, of course, which have been a constant thorn in our hip, which if any team in the NFC is looking like a contender, it probably is the Lions. But again, injuries could derail them like they did last year. Who knows? You don't want to pray for people to get injured, but you're hoping that the Lions at least have a fall off of some sorts, or that they're just magic runs out and they're just an early season contender. But we know with the Lions, they're going to be tough all year, and this is going to be a fight to the finish for that NFC North division if Minnesota can keep their head above water with all these injuries hitting. But let us know what you guys thought of Kevin O'Connell's injury updates in his press conference from yesterday down in the comments below. But that's going to take us into our second topic of the day, which is Wentz versus McCarthy. So Carson Wentz this season, he's had 69 completions for 100 passes, 69% completion percentage, of course, 759 yards, averaging 7.6 yards per pass, and 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, with his longest pass being of 81 yards, and his passer rating at 99.5% with a passer rating. Pretty solid numbers there in only just a handful of games. You look at the JJ McCarthy side of things, that's where it gets a little bit interesting, where in the 2 games, only 58.5 completion percentage, 21.6% QBR, and then going 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. So obviously when you look at the stats of these guys, it's night and day. And this is why I kind of brought it up earlier, is because with Carson Wentz, he's rolling right now. JJ McCarthy, Kevin O'Connell said he's going to be ramping up that workload. If Carson Wentz is still rolling, Minnesota could be in a similar situation like Sam Darnold last year, where they're going to have to play catch up or have to make a really big decision here of saying, hey, JJ's ready to go. Carson is still really rolling. He's winning us games. That is the main thing, not mattering what their stats are, because you do not want a repeat of what happened last year in Pittsburgh. Russell Wilson, for better or for worse, was playing well. They were winning games, and then they benched him for Justin Fields, and it was just a constant up and down season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Of course, we see with Russell Wilson this year, maybe Mike Tomlin saw something that nobody else did, and that the Giants are regretting now that they have him there and they benched him for Jackson Dart. But Minnesota is in danger of that same situation happening here, where if Carson Wentz is really rolling, that brings a scary opportunity for JJ McCarthy, where it might be good for him to learn behind Carson Wentz for a year. To be quite honest, those first 2 games, it was looking rough except for really 1 quarter. So it's not really a great sample size to go off of for JJ McCarthy. And I'm not writing JJ off as a bust. I'm not saying that whatsoever. We saw Josh Allen be absolutely terrible in his rookie year. Peyton Manning was terrible in his rookie year. There's been a history of amazing quarterbacks who have been terrible in their rookie year. And yes, this is JJ McCarthy's second year technically, but his first year as a starter. And again, this isn't going to be something that's going to be successful right off the bat. Justin Jefferson even said that. A lot of people have been saying that, and Vikings fans and some people just didn't want to listen and put their blinders on and say, no, he's either going to be completely terrible or he's going to be completely amazing, and there's no in between. No, JJ's in that in between stage right now, where we don't know what this kid is made of quite yet. We've seen flashes of it. We've seen flashes of what the ceiling could be, and we've seen what the floor could be. And now it's just a matter of maintaining that and managing it. But if Carson Wentz is rolling and JJ stands to learn a lot from Carson Wentz, that is where you kind of roll with the veteran, go with that veteran quarterback and trust in him to win you games. Because if we're winning games, that is all that matters. As maybe if Carson Wentz is playing terrible and our defense is the ones winning games, maybe that's when you make a decision. But if Carson Wentz is going on this 2-to-1, 3-to-1 touchdown interception ratio, still maintaining an above a 95 or above 100 QBR, and they're winning games, and he's just that perfect game manager, but is also a really good mentor for JJ McCarthy in the process, because we've seen that this starting gig has kind of reignited Carson Wentz's fire, and that is going to bring a lot of competitive edge in the practices. And it's also going to make JJ McCarthy better because A, he's going to be worried for his job, and B, Carson Wentz is going to bring out that dog in JJ McCarthy every single day so that we can see it on the field every single Sunday once JJ is ready to take over. But that remains to be seen. We'll see what happens. This could be a very dramatic turn of events by the time that we come out of the bye week with seeing what JJ McCarthy's health and where the state of this Vikings team might want to be if they give Carson Wentz one more game, I say, and then you see where you go from there as far as the Carson Wentz, JJ McCarthy situation. But let us know in the comments down below what you guys would do about this situation when JJ McCarthy is ready to return out of the bye. If he's feeling really good, do you wait one more game just to make sure he's healthy? Or do you just throw him in there and feed him in there? And if you do rest him for one more game and Carson plays well, do you continue riding with him until the wheels fall off on the Carson Wentz train? Let us know what you guys think down in the comments below. But that's going to do it for this episode of Vikings Digest. I've been your host, Griffen. Take care.